City of Virginia Beach is preparing to change a portion of the shoreline forever, and some residents say it isn't for the better.
The proposal would make the Lesner Municipal Wharf permanent. Today, residents explained to Robert Boyd why they are opposed to this idea.
Well, those Virginia Beach residents who are against this wharf cite two main reasons. Number one, they think it's bad for the environment. And number two, they say it's just plain old ugly.
I moved here 4.5 years ago from Richmond, and I moved here to live by the water, and I want to preserve that pristine water.
Melissa Pulling was one of a handful of residents holding up signs at Thursday's Bayfront Advisory Commission meeting. They are against the wharf becoming a permanent fixture underneath the Lesner Bridge.
Hey, my name's Melissa. They're taking advantage of a situation that there's an existing opportunity that no one knows about the long-term, long-range plans of what could come down.
The wharf was approved on a temporary basis back in 2012 as part of Lesner Bridge construction. But now the city wants to keep the wharf permanently. Coastal engineer Phil Rowers says it will be an asset for dredging and bridge maintenance projects.
They bring in a very large dredge plant to do that work. It needs a place to moor. This is an ideal site for that purpose.
Residents like Jennifer Williams worry about long-term environmental effects.
What does it do to the fish, to the crabs, to the oysters? What does it do to all that?
Williams would like the city to do an environmental study. The city says that's unnecessary. Will this have a negative environmental impact?
I do not believe it will at all.
But still, residents say environmental impact or not, their little piece of paradise is no longer a beach, it's a construction site.
It was a beautiful place to go. It's not beautiful anymore. It's ugly.
And you're going to make it from a pristine waterway area into a commercial wharf area. And I think that's wrong. That's not in keeping with the neighborhood.
Now, the wharf becoming permanent is far from a done deal. The city is still waiting for the state's approval, which could take another 6 months. In Virginia Beach, Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
A former Navy SEAL has been sentenced in a child sex abuse case. Gregory Searden will serve 27 years in prison, followed by 25 years of supervised release. The investigation began when a woman reported to security at JEB Little Creek for its story that Searden had sexually assaulted her. NCIS searched his phone and found nearly 80 images and 4 videos of child pornography. The crimes involved a 5-year-old girl who was sleeping. Searden was also fined $10,000 for producing images of the sex abuse. A fight inside a York County Walmart ends with gunshots in a parking lot and a woman dead. Tonight, 34-year-old Cindy Bryant is in jail, facing charges of first-degree murder and abduction. The York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office says the woman went to the Tab Walmart this morning and got into a fight with her friend, a woman working in the optometry office. She then forced that worker outside, allegedly at gunpoint. When the victim, 37-year-old Jean Bryant, tried to run, Cindy Bryant allegedly shot her several times. Many shoppers saw what happened. Some even tried to break up the fight inside the store.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Break it up, but don't worry about it. Pow, 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 pow. I heard at least 8 shots. I feel bad for that girl.
Jean Bryant died later at a hospital. Deputies say the two women knew each other, but their relationship is not known. Additional charges may be pending against Cindy Bryant.
Man accused of killing a woman in broad daylight in Portsmouth has been caught by police, but they had to cross state lines to find him. Detectives have charged 35-year-old Jarvis DeLoach of Portsmouth with first-degree murder. He's accused of shooting 22-year-old Kitandra Wilson. Officers found her at the intersection of Des Moines Avenue and Portsmouth Boulevard on Tuesday afternoon. Portsmouth police, with help from North Carolina State Police, took DeLoach into custody this afternoon off of I-95 in North Carolina. Authorities are still on the scene at the Parkland, Florida High School, where a former student killed 17 people and wounded 15 others. The community is trying to figure out what drove the 19-year-old to do something so horrific. ABC's Stephanie Ramos reports authorities are also learning more about his troubled life.
The former student, suspected of gunning down 17 people and injuring 15 others, stepped into court for the first time this afternoon.
Are you Nicholas Jacob Cruz?
Yes, ma'am.
19-year-old Nicholas Cruz is facing 17 counts of premeditated murder.
Mr. Cruz, you're going to be held without bond until further order of the court.
Police say Cruz opened fire at his former high school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, in Parkland, Florida. It was about 2 in the afternoon when the gunshots started outside the school Wednesday. Terrified students hiding in classrooms behind desks, like junior Lexi Jedron, who tells us she'll never forget what she saw.
I'm in shock still. I'm an emotional wreck. I just don't know how to take this. And I'm thankful to be here, but at the same time, I'm so hurt to know that a lot of people I know are gone.
Cruz eventually caught a few miles away from the deadly scene by this officer from a neighboring department.
Training kicked in. I pulled my vehicle over immediately, engaged the suspect.
Authorities are now learning more about the suspect, described as a loner and crazy by neighbors and other students.
No, he was always what he was. He was always weird, like violent, aggressive.
We are looking into his social media posts, his movements, his conversations leading up to the shooting.
Some families left in absolute anguish. Friends, strangers, all coming together to remember the victims of one of the deadliest school shootings in the U.S.
Where do we go? Who do we go to? How do we cope? Where do we find the strength?
The FBI is now looking into how they handled a tip they received last year about a threat posted by the suspect on YouTube. Stephanie Ramos, ABC News, Parkland, Florida.
Today, a Norfolk judge certified felony homicide and child neglect charges against Rayvon Messer. He is accused of shooting and killing his own 4-year-old son. Messer had been charged with second-degree murder, but that charge was dropped. The little boy was shot and killed last April in a home in Ocean View. Messer claims it was an accident. His attorney says the new charges support that claim. Other family members are surprised by the change.
The question now is to sort out the circumstances, whether there's any criminal responsibility. We don't think there is.
I'm hurt, because I was looking for answers, but it's not time.
The case goes before a grand jury on March 7th.
Portsmouth woman has been sentenced for embezzling from a labor union. According to court documents, Tamika Bullock was appointed Secretary-Treasurer of International Brotherhood of Boilermakers for the most of 2016. Bullock embezzled more than $24,000, even using the money to pay for a cruise. Her scheme nearly wiped out an account used to help sick or distressed union workers. Bullock will spend 14 months in prison.
Many parents depend on a safe in-home daycare provider for their children, but some people who run these facilities say the city of Chesapeake is making it hard for them to do their jobs. The daycare owners we talked to say there's already a shortage of in-home facilities. One woman says she opened her home daycare because she couldn't find a place to take her baby. Next Tuesday, City Council will look at changing city rules. It would include restricting the number of kids allowed in in-home daycares from 12 to 8, and daycares could only be open from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Daycare owners say this would be tough on military families who need that extra flexibility.
The fact that a lot of people in this area don't have family to provide child care for them.
If this new measure is passed, I would not advise anyone who's in the military to move to Chesapeake because their child care options are going to be very limited.
Chesapeake City Council is expected to talk about this proposed change at their City Council meeting next Tuesday.
If you have a creative idea for a business, well, this is for you. MacArthur Center in Norfolk wants to give you a chance to see if your idea will float. It's called Battle of the Pop-Up, and here's how it works. Fill out an application either at the mall or online and explain your fresh and innovative concept. The winner will receive a kiosk space in the mall rent-free for 4 months.
You know, there's a lot of creativity, a lot of entrepreneurship in the area, and so it's really just a nice way for us to kind of open our doors and invite them in.
The hope is that the winner will turn into a long-term cart owner or even be able to transition into a store. You have until March 30th to submit your idea.